This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
I really didn't think they would. But I actually did think about it since we got together.
I wonder how many, if the league looks at this and says, we're talking about two guys.
Yeah.
Make it, you know?
And I was also thinking they've such a push on international exposure and international
and flag
games,
football for
and
that
flag
matter.
football for that matter, which is a great sport.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's promote it with Tyreek Hill or whatever. Or
it's not going to be Tyreek Hill at that point.
Tyreek
will be like 35.
Oh yeah, by the time it comes. But right,
I know we keep mentioning Tyreek
right?
Hill with that. There are other fast guys than Tyreek Hill.
But insert fun player here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whoever.
Might be
is,
somebody
right.
who's still playing in college right now.
Absolutely.
The Ohio State wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be pretty good. I always think about little fast guys, but how about real big fast guys?
Yeah. Here, Japan, try to cover this guy.
Yeah. That guy, by the way, Smith, I think he would be the first pick in any draft and can't even come out next year.
Yeah.
He's going to come out as a 20-year-old and be the back-to-back best receiver in football or college football for a while.
The kid at Alabama is pretty good,
really
too.
good, too. Right. It's a strong group.
Yeah. So that's just what the league is putting out.
Yeah.
Not this year.
This past year.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, somebody brought up on the message board over the weekend that, well, it does, I don't understand the trading of George Pickens. They're not going to find anybody who is as good as George Pickens. I'm like, they get to draft next,
right. I mean, we always talk about a first-round pick as being a quarterback, but it could be the third best receiver off the board,
George
too.
Pickens
right.
was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
You can find wide receivers.
Yeah, this past year was a little thin in free agency.
Yeah.
And
doesn't mean they all will be.
It doesn't mean they all will be. That's going to be a position that constantly gets
This
bumped
was
out.
really this was an anomaly.
This was the glitch. Yeah.
Over if you look back over the last
almost
10 years.
I
Yeah.
would say going back to the Odell, Evans, Allen Robinson, that was a loaded. I want to say that's 2014-ish, something like that. Ever since, almost every draft but this past one's been, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
doesn't mean there aren't guys you miss on.
Right.
But, there have been dudes.
Mm-hmm. So we just started a series on our podcast where we're just going to kind of break down the first round. We gave it 3 years to marinate. So we started with 2022, and we'll go 2021 tomorrow. It's the Pickett draft.
Yeah.
But it's within 4 picks was, in this order, I think, London, Wilson, Olave, Jameson Williams. And they all went from 8 to 12. And then you get Burks. It wasn't so great, but that was the Pickens draft.
Right.
There was a lot of receivers in that draft, and that's kind of the norm.
Yeah.
And none of those guys were even a Jamar Chase or Harrison or Neighbors prospect,
Yeah. That's what the league is putting out.
Yeah.
So we'll see about the whole flag football thing, but
that's interesting.
I don't even know how many people are on a flag football. How many people would you carry on an Olympic flag football roster?
That's a big question I had too. Is does everyone play both ways? 12. Okay.
There you go.
TV said 12.
So
okay.
if there's 12 players on an Olympic,
I assume it's 6-on-6. That's how we used to play. But our kids were 6 too. But
so maybe you could flip out some offense for defense kind of thing.
I would think.
So at most, what are they going to have? 4 or 5 NFL players?
Yeah. So the U.S. Olympic team will have a dozen dudes on it. Okay. And maybe half of them are NFLers. Maybe.
Yeah. It's a different game.
You think the quarterbacks will? Maybe a backup.
Yeah.
I don't think Mahomes is doing it.
Tyler Huntley,
Right. Okay.
And that doesn't even mean I've seen video of the guy who's the current quarterback for the
Olympic team,
they call it.
Yeah.
He's good.
I bet he's real good.
He's really shifty, but he's 140 pounds.
That's why I bet he's smaller, shifty type guy. I wonder what even ball they use. I doubt it's an NFL ball.
It might be a little small.
I
don't
bet
know.
It's a little small.
I need to
idea.
learn more about it. But
yeah, I don't know a clue what the rules are for adults. I'm talking about 6-year-olds is the last time.
But it won't be all NFL players.
No. I'm sure there's some really good ones that are not thrilled about this, but they're also going to keep their spot.
Yeah. And the other thing about it is we're talking about 2028.
Yes.
That's 3 years from now.
I don't think any NFLer gets this news today and be like, I'm going to start training for flag in my
It's
offseason.
kind of my point about Tyreek Hill. He's 30, he's 31 now.
Those
He's
guys
do
are-
this when he's 34, 35.
Right. No. And maybe someone says, I'm hanging it up, but I kind of have a little left. I might try out.
Yeah. Is Tom Brady going to come out of retirement at 50 and
sling it around
on the Olympic team?
No.
Aaron Rodgers going to come out at 45?
Ben, right. Yeah, no. I would imagine not.
It's a different game.
I have no idea how to take it. Like, are they going to look for two-way players? Are they going to look for just speed? Are they going to who's even going to have any interest?
Realistically, if the United States wants to go, hey, we're going to put 12 NFL players on.
Oh, it'd be the dream team. It'd be Jordan, Bird, and Magic, and right.
They would still dominate.
Yeah. Right. I mean, yes. If it's Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are the receivers, they'd be pretty good at flag football.
Catching balls from Jaden Daniels, he's he'd be perfect for that game.
McCaffrey's the running back or whatever. Yeah. Someone that can catch and run or whatever. Yeah, Jameer Gibbs. I'm sure whoever the running back on Team USA is really good, but I'll take Gibbs over him or Bijan. And even if he can't break tackles.
A Chan might be perfect for that.
Chan, right. You could come up with a ton of...
who give me the guys who ran the fastest 40s at the combine. I'm going to put all them out there.
Right. Yeah, it would be a pretty good group.
The game is predicated on speed. That's what it is.
So you don't take Henry, but he probably wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. Nobody's going to get, I got to reach in there and grab that flag.
Right. I mean, he could still run and get upfield. Right.
Yeah. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and you can tell by the music that we are joined on the Justin Miller Hotline by Bob Labriola, the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, the editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com. How you doing, Labs?
The tush push survives.
Barely. By the skin of its, tush. It is still alive and semi-well. Matt and I were just talking about that in the previous segment, Bob, and the fact that it got 22 votes, if you believe the reports that have come out of the owners' meeting here, would suggest that with maybe a couple of minor tweaks next year, we could see that go away.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it being overturned or banned or whatever the word is until there is something that happens, where somebody gets hurt. Because, it's an offensive play. We love offense. Anything that benefits the offense is good, good for ratings, which is good for everybody. So, to me, the thing that I've been reading that I am happiest about is that playoff reseeding thing bit the dust.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one didn't even get off the ground. The Lions pulled the proposal before they even got into the meeting because I think they realized nobody supports this.
Nobody else is on board, yeah.
Well, one of the things that Judy Batista speculated on was that what is it, 2026 or 27, it might have something to do with the 18-game regular season. I don't exactly understand or know what she meant in terms of how that would be tied together. Maybe, and I'm speculating here, maybe what she was referring to was that whenever, Roger Goodell tries to, I won't say implement that because it comes down to a vote of the, entire NFLPA. But whenever that is put up for vote or whatever, maybe there is some sort of issue with playoff reseeding tied into that whole 18-game regular season package, proposal, whatever. I don't know, but I'm just glad for now that it maintains the integrity of if a team wins its division, it should get a home playoff game, and it should get preferred playoff seeding through the rest of the playoffs over teams that make the wild card. I believe that. I will always believe that. Maybe I'm old school, but that's the way I think it should be.
Well, let's go down the rabbit hole with that, Bob, because if you're going to do that when you also go to 18 games, one of the things that
we think 18 games is definitely happening.
At
right?
some point, 18
yeah,
is going to happen, and it's probably in the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why that this was tabled was because of that, as Judy Batista wrote. If you're going to do that, shouldn't you then, instead of having 4 divisions, have 2 8-team divisions in each conference to make it more like to make your, and maybe you don't play everybody twice, but maybe you play everybody in your division once or something along those lines, just to make it more equal, because you're gonna have to figure out a way if you're gonna reseed the playoffs like that. My 12-4 record might not be the same as your 11 or 12-5 record. Might not be the same as your 11-6 record because we don't play the same teams. You got to find a way to equal out the schedules a little bit more.
Well, again, I think that the NFL regular season is lessened if you don't have 2 Steelers-Ravens games. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
2 Eagles-Cowboys.
I mean, even Bears-Packers that have happened forever. And things like that,
I mean, Packers-Bears, whatever. I just think that some of those divisional games, and when the league realigned for the 2002 season into 4-team divisions, 4 divisions in each conference, 16-game schedule at the time. I mean, it just made perfect mathematical sense. But over the course of that, it also, I think, created rivalries that are good for television, that energize the fan bases. Excuse me. And so, again, I think that if you're cutting back on some of those divisional matchups, I mean, maybe, Houston against Jacksonville doesn't move the needle. But as I was just saying, Pittsburgh-Baltimore definitely does.
I'm just not sure where they get the extra game at when they go to 18 games. Because right now, as we know, the schedule works out that you play with the 17th game added. Well, now you got to play one extra team in the other conference.
NFC's new, right?
And it rotates through. But as things are now, you play your schedule, you play another division within the conference, you play another division outside of the conference, and then you play the 3 teams within your conference that finish with the like record as you.
I've heard some people throw out trying to create new rivalries. Eagles play the Steelers every year. The 2 New York teams play every year. The 2 LA teams play every year. But you start doing you start connecting the dots.
But there's still going to be an extra game though, because if that year that you're playing are you going to play the Eagles twice?
I would say that
when you're matched up against the NFC
one every
East?
4 teams, if they happen to be the same seed as you. It would happen rarely.
So we're going to have to see some kind of tweaking of the schedule one way or the other.
But what's funny though, like when you do the AFC, NFC, and you draw a line from the teams that all should play each other, there's not as many obvious ones as you think.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you got Arizona playing the Dolphins or something.
How about this? The 18th game is an international game.
You still got to play somebody.
You still have to figure out who you're going to play, though.
Yeah,
but I could definitely see that.
I mean,
I think that will happen.
I'm just looking for
2 bye weeks.
Things, because I think that's another area where the league's going to want to continue to grow and expand. And so if the 18th game is an international game, maybe they figure out how to work that out. I don't know. Make more teams playing overseas. Make more teams play overseas. Maybe it opens up more venues, more different countries.
I definitely think that's in the works. I think the 18th, when it gets to an 18-game schedule, I think every team will go overseas once.
Yeah, I think that's all part of the process there. I just don't know how you pick that additional team that you're going to play.
Could even be random.
Unless it's the other, because you play one division in each conference outside of every year. Like I'm looking here at the Steelers' schedules for the next 4 years. So in 2028, they play the AFC East. They also match up against the NFC East.
So you get all 4 of those teams.
They have the NFC South team that finishes with the same record as them. They have the AFC West and AFC South teams that also finish with the same record as them. That doesn't leave any other divisions.
Let me just throw this out. It's not the same record. It's the same
spot in New York.
Right.
The only other thing that they could do would be to match up against the other team from the NFC that you don't play that year. So, for example, that year they play the NFC South.
You play 2 third-place teams in the NFC or whatever. Or knowing the NFL, I just dawned on me, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but everyone on the planet would tune in at some boring time of the year. You get a bunch of ping pong balls. Here comes the Steelers. And then you pick one out of the NFC bin. Oh, you got the Commanders this year. That's your last game. Okay. Everybody would watch.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everybody would watch.
Hopefully that's also the same year that the NFL goes to my greatest fear for the draft. One pick a day for the entire month of April. And, it's a...
Boy, I'd be on the air a lot, lad.
What's that?
I'd really be on the air a lot.
Matt Williamson on the air.
Hey, I mean...
400 hours in the month of...
Right, I'll give you a couple of years to get those vocal cords.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you can start doing bench presses with your esophagus or something. I don't know. But I don't know. I just think that, and I always suggest that to be absurd. But I think that, absurdity sometimes.
They could really stretch it, though.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I do think there's a lot of merit, though, to building your team to win your specific division. Your geography. What are the how do we, did the Steelers draft Waya Black if it's not for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. And I think divisions have developed identities.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that, yeah.
And I like it. It interests me, when there are random games on, I would rather watch a division game usually. I mean, there are obvious exceptions, but I mean, if, for example, if it's, Buffalo against New England or the Cardinals against Jacksonville, I'd watch the division game, just because even when it seems like, for example, Buffalo against New England, you look at those two teams right now, that would not seem to be a very closely contested game based on what you think of those teams and where they have been recently in terms of standings and stuff. But division games, I think, are always more likely to surprise you with the outcome because of the familiarity of the teams.
We mentioned earlier, too, like Jags, Texans might not move the needle, but it might in 5 years. Stroud and Lawrence are great, who knows?
Yeah. But anyway, I'm a believer in the division thing. I like a lot about it, and I would be in favor of maintaining that.
While we're on that subject, Bob, and I just thought about this, we haven't really talked about Cleveland trying to build a dome up in Cleveland, out by their airport. That is non-AFC North type football. I mean, when you think about the AFC North, you're thinking about teams that are playing out in the elements and, and doing those kind of things. It just kind of goes against what the division is about in many ways.
Sure. But, I mean, I think that is a reflection of their current ownership.
Mm-hmm. So it's not even retractable, huh? I mean, it's just a dome.
I think it's just a dome. Like Buffalo is building a new stadium right now. If somebody wanted to say if Buffalo should have a dome, And I would get, okay, I get it. Minnesota should have a dome.
Right.
Because it's ridiculously cold up there, in the middle of the winter.
Mountain of snow.
But Buffalo said, no, we're not building a dome because this is what we are. This is part of our what makes us the Bills. The Browns building a dome stadium in Cleveland goes against the AFC North in general and what they should be.
It does.
And what everything you think about, Sundays on the shores of Lake Erie.
It actually takes away one of their few things that gives them an advantage on some Sundays. Like there have been some games up there where weather has been a major factor and it levels the playing field for some bad Browns teams.
Or Red Right 88.
Or that. You might want to explain that one to our younger listeners. But
yeah, Red Right 88, that was a brutally bitter, cold day where the Browns were hosting the Oakland Raiders. And they were in position. The Browns were in position to kick a game-winning field goal. And in his I don't know, I'll call it genius, Sam Rutigliano decided, well, let's run one more play. And he tells Brian Sipe, if it's not, the play was Red Right 88. If it's not there right away, throw it into the dog pound, we'll kick the field goal and win the game. Well, Brian Sipe didn't do that. He threw the pass into the end zone. It was intercepted, and the Browns did not get to go to advance. That wasn't an AFC Championship game, I don't think.
No, they saved that for games against the Broncos.
Yeah. But, the Browns were very much a Super Bowl contending team that year, in my opinion.
Oh, they were many of those years during the 80s, yeah. They just couldn't get over the hump.
So, it was, I laughed very hard that day, that afternoon, I remember. It was very enjoyable. But, that's a day, like you were describing, Dale, where it should have been an advantage for the Browns. Cold, raw, windy, icy, all those things against a California team, but they still choked. So, getting back to the original point, I wouldn't be in favor of a dome in Cleveland. I don't think you need a dome in Cleveland to pack the joint. Those fans, it's like putting a dome over Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
I just don't think that those fans need that to show up. What they may need is, a respectable competitive team. But who knows? Maybe ownership now believes up there that it's easier to build a dome than it is to be a respectable competitive team.
Labs, do you see the Browns as a distant fourth in the North right now? I do.
Yeah, I don't know. Distant, last is last. To paraphrase Juju, last is last. The Browns is the Browns. I just don't have a lot of belief that, I think ownership up there sometimes gets a little too involved. That I will never forget the look on Andrew Berry's face, their GM, when they announced that Shedeur Sanders pick.
Yeah.
I mean, so who knows? I don't know what to expect from the Browns. They don't seem to me to do a lot of things where after they do them, you say, well, that makes sense. Even the Myles Garrett contract, the Deshaun Watson trade, and the contract they gave him, the Johnny Manziel pick, the Brady Quinn pick. From the franchise when it entered the NFL, the Cleveland franchise entered the NFL in 1950. It was so. It was almost like a well-oiled machine. The Browns were always near the top of the Eastern Conference. The NFL even attempted, because the Browns were absorbed from the All-American Football Conference, the NFL even attempted to embarrass them by their very first NFL game, they had to play the defending champion Eagles. And the Browns kicked their butt. The Browns were also very progressive in terms of African Americans, Bill Willis, Marion Motley, all those kind of guys. All the innovations Paul Brown made in terms of game film and, all of that stuff. The Browns were the first franchise to have radio helmets in the radio signals in the helmets so that Paul Brown could communicate directly with the quarterback.
That franchise is still doing pretty well. It's just in Baltimore now.
Right. But, again, like I said, so many things about that franchise were cutting edge, so well thought out, just kind of, I won't say militaristic, but they operated like a well-oiled platoon of soldiers or, whatever kind of comparison you want to make. But now, I don't know. You just never know what's going to happen. And as I said, very rarely after it happens when you go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Wish I had thought of that.
Labs, you might have noticed it from the article I wrote from you recently. I was not a big fan of the direction of their draft either.
Right. I mean,
doesn't add up to me at all. No offensive linemen. What are you doing?
Yes. And all the picks they had, it just, I don't know. And the trading away from Travis Hunter.
2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. What are you doing?
If they had, as you pointed out, if they had used that bounty they received from that to address the issues that their roster had, then okay.
Yeah.
But they blew those picks.
I thought
all
so
those
too.
picks.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it.
Right. Can't understand it.
Well, Bob, this is why we have you on the show, because you are a true historian of the game and give us some insight into not just the Steelers, but some other teams in the division. And
I think people forget that's 2 different franchises. The good one left town. the bad one, right.
And that's why the Steelers hate the Ravens.
Yeah.
Because at the time, with Steelers Browns was bitter from the beginning.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And the Ravens are Art Modell's Browns.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of hatred there already built up. They didn't even have to, a lot of times, with a new team, not that the Ravens were an expansion team, but you catch my drift. It's a new team. It takes a while before you start hating them.
That was a team that the Steelers had just played in the playoffs like 2 years before that when they were the first Ravens team. Like they had just met in the playoffs.
And beat them 3 times.
Yeah. So it was, that was a lot of crossover.
When you think about it, the Steelers have done that twice to that franchise, 1994 and 2008.
Interesting.
Beat them 3 times.
Yeah. Well, Bob, we will let you go, and appreciate you dropping by. We didn't get to talk all that much about the tush push and all that stuff, but plenty of time to talk about that. And there's plenty out there about it. Everybody has their opinions about it, but.
And thank you for not making me talk about OTAs.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem at all. Are you going to OTAs?
I said we'll be broadcasting from down there next week.
I don't know. If you guys are going to be broadcasting, I'll come down at least once just to make fun of you.
Stop by the cafeteria at least,
Or you can stop by the table and talk to us while we're on the air broadcasting during OTAs.
Okay. All right. It's a date.
There you go.
Sounds good.
There you go. Our guest has been Bob Labriola, editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com, the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And as Bob Labriola just said there, Matt, next week, OTAs.
Yeah, we'll actually see football stuff.
Couple of weeks of OTAs, and we'll get a week of minicamp as well. When I say a week, they actually go Tuesday through Thursday.
Okay, right.
So it's really 9 practices on the field. They are football-like.
Yeah, it's football-like. So
They're more involved in the rookie minicamp.
So funny, I was on a Dynasty podcast this morning, and I guess Tootin, first time they hand him the ball, he fumbles in OTAs.
Ooh.
And we know he's a fumbler. I'm like, and they're like, should we be worried about it? I'm like, the big conversation was, do we overreact to OTAs? I'm like, yes, you overreact to OTAs. But nobody hit him.
Nobody hit him. He's not even wearing pads.
Right, I was going to say.
Like, you can't even say, well, I hit, the handoff hit my shoulder pad and I
Right.
fumbled.
I'm something like, that's not a great sign
It is
for a fumbler.
somewhat concerning.
A nose tackle didn't blast him and the ball went flying out.
And he knew he wasn't going to get hit.
Yeah, he's probably just like, don't fumble. Oh, man, I fumbled.
Don't think about pink elephants.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but next week we got Memorial Day, no show.
Yeah.
3 from down there.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday down there. Friday,
Okay.
no show. So basically from here on out, folks, at least until minicamp, or I should say training camp starts at the end of July. And I'm just guessing here that probably starts sometime around, if you can do the math, just go backwards 2 weeks from when they play their first preseason game.
Yeah, so when camp opens, you're talking about.
So you're probably looking at somewhere in the the fourth week of July that the training camp will start. We will go back to 4 days a week.
5 days.
And actually, I'm sorry, 5 days a week. Actually, during training camp,
that's
every day they practice, we do a show.
We do a show.
So
which
sometimes
is
it's
often more than 5 days.
7 days a week.
Yeah. Right. So it's good stuff. So we'll have 3 shows. Players should be joining us next week too, right off the practice
we will have
field
player
right.
interviews and everything. I should say, though, that we won't have video down there. Friday of this week will be our last day for video on YouTube.
Until training camp.
Until training camp starts off, and we will have all of our shows at training camp throughout the rest of the season. Then
but you can find us in like every other platform out there. Right?
Yeah, you can still listen, and obviously we'll still do our Twitter Thursday and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it won't be much different. Good stuff.
But that's just
I'm just like to get back down there, and I haven't seen any of the new players in person yet. Really, I mean, I want to see. You're like, Wyatt Black is ridiculously huge. I've never seen Metcalf in person. I mean, I bet it's a little whoa. So
we'll get an opportunity to do all of that next week. Again, we'll be broadcasting live during the OTA practices, so we won't
be commenting on like, boy, that was a heck of a catch, or
we can't
boy,
do
that was cover 3, or, right.
But we will have players coming over to join us once the session is done. So you'll want to hear that. We'll get some interviews with some of these guys. There's a list out there of guys that have been requested.
Oh, cool.
You'll really like the list of guys. We'll get some we won't get all of them, but we'll get some of them because there's only 9 sessions total. But you will enjoy listening or being able to hear these guys chat with us for 10 minutes or so. At the end of the show. You won't want to miss that, and you can't get it anywhere else.
That's the key.
That's the key. That's why we do these shows. We are joined on the Justin Miller hotline by new Steelers cornerback Darius Slay. I'm going to call you Mr. Slay. I know you like to be called Slay, but I haven't gotten the chance to meet you yet, Darius, and I don't feel right calling you just by your last name. I'm going to call you Mr. Slay. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, so we welcome you to Pittsburgh. We're really excited to have you on the show today, and we appreciate you dropping by and taking some time here with us. And I'm looking here at your numbers over your career, and some of these things are just astounding. Your 2017 season, you led the NFL in interceptions with 8. You also had 26 pass defenses that year. 26.
Yeah.
There are guys who have entire careers and they don't get their hands on 26 footballs. What was that season like for you? Your first team All-Pro that year. What was that season like? Were you just in the zone that year and like everything that was thrown your way was like slow motion?
Did you follow number 1 receivers quite a bit that year too?
Yeah, I've been following number 1 receiver since probably like 15.
Okay.
So as I got acclimated with doing that, it got easier, comfortable. My studying got a lot better because I really had to just focus on one guy and just take away everything that he likes to do. And I was just, I got better at, catching the rock too for a little bit too. It was hard to catch them picks, so I got a little better with that. But I was really locked in that year. Real good year for me, real solid. I wish I had I wish they I would probably have this as a player of the year. You know, with the cornerback stuff that's winning the DP right now, I would have probably won it then. But back then they didn't look at it like that.
Yeah, I mean those are defensive player of the year
really
type
are,
numbers.
yeah.
I mean that is legit.
A strong case.
And over the course of your career, if you look at it, you've had double-digit pass defenses every season except your rookie year, and then in 2020 and 2021. The last three seasons, you've had double-digit pass defenses. You're just a guy that makes plays on the football.
Yeah, that's what I'm. That's my job to do, make plays on the football. I got great instincts. I'm a guy that's really competitive, man. And that's one thing it tells you about me as a cornerback, that I'm always, close to my defender. A lot of guys, I feel like that, that's not close to their defender don't have a lot of PBU. So, and I play against a lot of great quarterbacks, and I'm always used to be the one traveling. So, I get the best route runners. I go against some of the best quarterbacks, and it'd be hard to pick these guys also. At least that the fact that I'm close and I'm close enough to them to make affection on the ball. So, that's the good thing about me, that I stay close by a defender and give me a chance to make a play on the ball.
Go ahead, Matt.
And say, have the Steelers talked much about you defending number one receivers? That's something they've done with Joey quite a bit. So I wonder how that might work out, or is it too early to have those conversations?
Well, it's probably too early. I don't know what they plan is technically about me if I'm traveling now. But I'm 34 years old. Even though I think I can still do it at a very, very elite level. But I think Joey is a great guy, man, a great player. I've been watching this film a long time. I think it's really time for him to, to shine. And, I'm just here to help him, make sure he's the best player he could possibly be, give him all the tools that I had learned from a lot of my older guys and OGs I had played with in the league. So I think it's really his time, man. I'm here to help him, blossom up. And, he's already a great player as it is, just help him continue to keep climbing his ceiling.
How much does it help you that you're being reunited with Terrell Austin here in Pittsburgh?
Oh, it's been great, man. We stayed having a great relationship since 2014, since the first time he stepped a foot in Detroit. And, he loved me as a corner when I was coming out. He wanted to draft me then. And so we got a great opportunity to work with each other for 4 years, 5 maybe. And he became a real good friend of mine, a real good mentor for me. Like he said, he loved the corner room. That's one of his specialties. That's his, before he's a DC, that what he coaches the corner. So we had a lot of great stuff in common, and we got a great, he understands the position, and you don't win everyone, but he knows how to put you in a position to help succeed. So I just learned from the defense from him, just watching him and meeting up with him in the mornings for a long time when I was young. So he did a lot of justice in my career at a young age.
Have you matched up much against DK Metcalf over the years? And if so, tell our listeners what the Steelers are getting in that guy.
Oh, man, me and him had a lot of great competition. Man.
Good.
We had played against each other one time before, but just watching him from afar, he's amazing, man. Great deep ball threat. Guys going to attack the ball. Guys play with a lot of passion. And he worked, so, still got a great hands. With him being a guy that's extended too with an extra 5 years. They got a great receiver in hands, man. So I know he's going to do some great things here. And, he's going to be one of the best in the business.
Pretty good size, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. He's a freak of nature, man. He's a guy that's 6'3", running like that, and just. And he see with his shirt off. He's like an android.
I'm excited to see him in minicamp.
Darius, you've been around the league. You've played your entire career, however, in the NFC. Are you looking forward to seeing what the AFC has to offer here? I mean, Cincinnati has 2 really good receivers, and you look around some of these other guys. At this point, I mean, Matt and I just went over the top a list of the top 32 receivers in the league. And there were a bunch of guys that weren't even on that list. I mean, it just seems like everybody has that dude now, regardless of how good you are or how bad you are. Everybody has a receiver now that is really dangerous.
Yes, that's what the game is evolving to, man. The quarterback play and the receiver play. Back when I was coming in the game, it was usually just one dominant receiver, then everybody else kind of like fill in and get in where you fit in. But now teams need 2, dominant guys, because I think the corner position and the defense is is taking away that dominant guy. Now you got to worry about 2 of them. So the game's just evolving, and become more of a passing league, and not really run heavy. Some teams still run the ball heavy, but a lot of teams just don't do that anymore. They think about, the quarterback position getting $50-60 million, and I'm sure a lot of folks don't want to see them handing the ball off a lot. But it be like that. So, but there's a lot of teams, man, that just need, two dominant guys to win games, and that's what the league's going to.
Are you looking forward to these OTA sessions next week? The first opportunity. I know there's been guys in and out of the building, and guys have done stuff, but this first opportunity to kind of get to see everybody all at once in more of a group fashion here.
Yeah, man. We looking forward to that, man, because getting back to the competitive spirit of just grinding, competing, and learning the playbooks, and going out here trying to get each other better. So we looking forward to. I know everybody, trying to get themselves ready to go for the season, but it's a good time for good learning and good exercising, and just understanding your players and understanding your teammates.
So last year you were an integral part on a Super Bowl winning team. Congratulations, by the way. That had to be incredible. And,
Thank you. Yeah.
What lessons did you learn, and how amazing was the experience overall, and how can you take that to the new team? Teaching these guys to maybe get to those levels.
Man, I learned a lot from just my years in Philly. Being that I went to the Super Bowl twice. Just knowing what it takes, what I'm saying? My first time getting past the first round in the playoffs was 3 years ago in 2022. Okay. Every other time I was first knocked out. So I ain't never had that experience. I ain't know what to expect. So going into my first time making it, I learned that, make sure your body's good to go for the whole long run. And, but it all started with great leadership and great guys that's really willing to work. I think it's a great thing that this team I'm going to right now with the Pittsburgh, I think it got a great mixture of younger guys that's very, very talented and guys that's, older that's still very, very talented. So, and I think that's what it takes, because both of my teams that I played on in Philly that made it got that kind of, that look, an older team with younger guys that's ready to go. So that's all it is, and then everybody just has to buy in. So, and that's hard for a lot of guys to do when the money is involved, because everybody, job is mostly they want to win games, but some guys, play the game to take care of their family. And that's just the honest truth about it. But when everybody buys in and everybody got one goal in mind, I think that's the main key of winning.
Well, our guest has been Darius Big Play Slay, or Mr. Slay, or just Slay, as he likes to be called.
Yeah, those interceptions of PBUs, man.
Big play of the Slay.
It all plays well. That's the key there. Darius, we appreciate you dropping by and spending some time with us. We'll catch up with you next week at OTA sessions and down the road here. Looking forward to that, and good luck this season. Wish you all the luck here. Happy to have you in Pittsburgh, and you should be a great addition to this franchise.
All right, thank you.
That was Darius Slay, Steelers' new cornerback.
I didn't realize some of those numbers you pulled out.
Right. The numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
Again, getting 8 interceptions in a season.
It's really difficult.
In this league. He has 28 in his career.
Yeah.
But
this isn't the 70s where they're just chucking it up.
No.
Right. I mean, all the quick hitters and the precise passing games.
And 26 pass defenses. And if you look at his number, I mean, he's got – even the last 3 seasons in Philadelphia, 13 pass breakups last year, 14 the year before that, 14 the year before that. I mean,
okay, that's a lot.
And you're a guy that has that reputation. Like typically, if you have an 8 interception season, you break up 26 passes, nobody's throwing your way.
Sure.
And even if you're traveling with the number one,
I'd say he's often with the best receiver though too.
But you're making plays on the football, and that will get the attention. But he's had 2 seasons of 17 pass defenses.
Okay. The
26th one, and every other season, except for the 3 where he didn't quite get to double digits, he's had at least 13 pass breakups.
Wow. The one thing that stuck with me too, just chatting with him, was he talked about how long it is when you win the Super Bowl and taking care of your body and all that. And we know he's not a young player. He played his best football. Not that it was bad during the regular season, but his postseason stuff was really high end. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his playoff stats over the years, even, and he's played in 11 playoff games.
Oh, really?
Those
Lions teams weren't great for a while.
No, they weren't. He had the interception last year in the playoffs. He had 5 pass breakups in the playoffs last year. That was the most of anybody.
Yeah, he had a really good playoff run.
Yeah, so I think he just knows.
Not as good as hands on the ball.
He just knows how to
right.
get his and there's a skill to that. There are a lot of defensive backs out there. Well, he was right in position to make the play.
Right.
Terrell Edmonds comes to mind when I think about that. That you're in position to make a play on the ball, but you can't find the football.
Can't find the football too, and I think he mentioned that earlier. Even working on your hands and ball skills and eyes, I mean, a lot of that stuff too. The fact that you got 8 in that 1 year is pretty hard to do. That's pretty tight company.
And I think, to your point, I think Joey Porter can learn a lot from a guy like Darius Slay.
I think 100%, no question about it.
Yeah. So
and they all can be,
everybody in that room can learn some things from him.
And not to mention him and Kenny Gainwell won a Super Bowl last year. You bring those guys into town, that rubs off.
Yeah, absolutely. So appreciate Darius. Big play Slay.
Big play
or
Slay.
Or just Slay, as he likes to be known.
I didn't know that part, right.
Yeah.
Even when he called in, he's like, hey, it's Slay. Like, all right, man.
It's a cool name, though.
It is a cool name.
I mean,
rhymes with a lot of stuff,
if
too.
my name was Slay, I think maybe I'd go. Lolley doesn't sound. People just say Lolley. I'm like, I don't love that.
Well, right.
Williamson doesn't sound as cool.
Too long.
Slay.
Yeah, it's good.
It's Slay.
No, that was great.
Absolutely appreciate him dropping by. Get a chance to talk to some of these guys, more of these guys, as we get into OTA sessions and things of that nature. Next week, I saw a thing today on ESPN that the Bills are favored. They're the only team in the NFL this season favored in all of their games this year.
That always blows me away when somebody comes out with that. Like, they do have a pretty easy schedule. They have a very easy division. You and I several times have mentioned that if I'm putting a chip down for who gets the number 1 seed in the AFC, I think I would take the Bills. I think you agree from what I remember.
Yeah.
Just the way the thing sets up. Good offseason, superstar quarterback, recent success, but favored in every game.
I was surprised
still
to
the
see
first place schedule.
Since 1978, 23 teams have been favored before the season began in every one of their games.
That shocks me too.
Yeah, it's a little more than what I would have thought.
Right. And I'm not even sure the Bills are the best team in the league. I don't think they are. Right.
28 teams have been underdogs in every one of their games.
That might not shock me as much.
There aren't any this year.
Okay.
But the Giants, Browns, and Saints are favored in just 1 game each this year.
Okay.
The Giants are favored by 1.5 at New Orleans.
Okay. They play each other?
The Browns are favored by 1.5 at home against the Titans, and the Saints are favored in their game at home against the Jets by 1.5.
Like the Saints aren't even favored when Carolina comes to town.
No.
Right. I was thinking easy teams in the division, but they all do play last place schedules. Let's go. Well, the Saints don't.
So it made me wonder where the Steelers are at here. So I've looked this up here on DraftKings, and the Steelers.
The Bills they must play the Ravens,
they do.
Chiefs, and Texans. And are they all in Buffalo?
They must be at home. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the Steelers favored in Week 1 against the Seahawks by 1.5. I'm sorry, they played the Jets in Week 1. They're favored over the Jets by 2.5 in Week 1
in New York.
Okay,
that adds up to me.
They are then favored.
So, real quick, I was told that you couldn't bet on Steeler games. I didn't even try because of the Rodgers situation, that they were off the board.
The odds are up here.
So I assume they think Rodgers is the quarterback.
The odds are here. So Steelers favored by 1.5 over the Seahawks in Week 2.
Here, okay.
Week 3, they are 1.5-point underdogs against the Patriots
in New England.
In New England.
I think the betting market is overboard on
As
the
I
Patriots.
said, New England's favored in 11 of their games this year.
They're much better than they were this time last year.
But they won 4 games.
But they're not.
They're not 7 games better.
Right. I think their over-under total's like 7.5 or 8.5.
Yeah.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
They didn't get that much better.
No.
They were hideous. They had the worst roster in the league.
The Vikings in Ireland are favored by 1.5 right now.
I would assume.
The Steelers favored by 6.5 over the Browns coming back.
Okay. I don't think that's crazy either.
The Steelers are 4.5-point underdogs on that Thursday night game in Cincinnati.
That totally adds up. That's a brutal turnaround.
Steelers are underdogs at home coming back off of that against the Packers.
They're dogs.
1.5 points.
Green Bay's quality. I don't have a problem with that.
Steelers favored by 3.5 over the Colts the following week.
Mm-hmm. the news of the day is they just lost their owner.
Yeah. Steelers are 4.5-point underdogs at the Chargers.
Ooh, I might put a buck on that right now. Steelers plus 4.5 with a heavy Steeler crowd.
Steelers are 1.5-point underdogs against the Bengals on November 16th.
And that's here.
That's here.
I don't think Cincy's as good as Vegas thinks either.
I don't think so either.
Cincy and New England are two of the ones I think are overrated.
Steelers are 2.5-point underdogs at Chicago.
I think that one's a little off.
Steelers are 4.5-point underdogs at home against Buffalo.
I get it. This stretch of schedule is not much fun.
Steelers are 8.5-point underdogs at Baltimore.
Ooh, I'll take Steelers plus 8.5 in Baltimore this year or 2033, and not even knowing who's going to be on the field. Steelers, Ravens, or for that matter, if you gave me Ravens plus 8.5 in 2033, I'll take the points.
Steelers are 2.5-point favorites against the Dolphins.
Yeah, that adds up.
They are 6-point underdogs to the Lions
in Detroit. That might be their toughest game.
They are 2.5-point favorites in Cleveland.
Okay, sure.
And then the final week of the season, they are 4.5-point underdogs at home against the Ravens.
Which
I'll take points at home.
I'll take both the points in the Ravens games.
Yeah.
So I know the short answer is probably yes. But does Vegas make money on these?
They have
now.
To.
They must, or they wouldn't. Of course.
They only have the Steelers favored in 6 games this year.
Yeah, it's low.
So I wonder if on this particular sports book, if they haven't factored in the Rodgers stuff yet.
Oh, okay. Because I don't say, what if today you went in there and put $10 on the Steelers in every game? You're going to lose some, you're going to win some.
Yeah.
But
they're already saying the over-under is 8.5.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But they're only favored in 6 games.
That doesn't jive. I think there's money to be made there if you just bet the Steelers in every game now on those lines, or whatever site that is, and you still get points. You're often going to be getting points.
Yeah.
You have no clue how the season's going to go. Nobody does.
Yeah.
But
is that any different than betting the over-unders?
Win totals.
Yeah, the win total.
Probably not with the lines. But if you did the over-under, if you money lined them all, because then you'd pay off more with all these dogs.
Oh, yeah.
See, to me, there's a margin there. I'm not a betting expert at all or very good enough at math to figure this stuff out.
I'm just throwing it out there, yeah. So, for example.
So, hear me out real quick.
Okay.
If they're over-under win totals 8.5, but you bet every game and they're only favored in 6, but you ignore the spreads. You just take the money line on the Steelers in every game across the board, knowing you're going to lose some and you're going to win some. And I take the under the 8.5 as a separate bet. I'm going to win something, and I could win both.
I think if you just took the money line on all of those, you'd end up winning.
Because you're going to pay off. You're substantially, right?
Yeah, they're only favored in 6 games, so you're going to get positive money in 11 of the games.
That's what I'm saying is you're going to win more than you put down on many of the wins. If they only get to 8 or 9 wins, which Vegas thinks they're going to win 8 or 9 games. So if they win 8, I still make money. If I win 9, I win even more money.
Even, for example, in the opener, the money line is minus 148 in favor of for the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. That one doesn't pay great, but okay.
But they're 2.5-point favorites. Some of those other games that you look at, like the Seahawks game in week 2, they're minus 122.
Okay.
If in New England, they're plus 102.
That doesn't pay as well as you think.
Not as well as you think.
Right.
Against the Vikings, they're plus 100.
Because they're a dog in New England, but it's still basically my dollar only makes about $1.
Yeah. The one that really screws it up is the Browns are minus 278. The Bengals are plus 170. The Packers are plus 102.
Okay.
The Colts, they're minus 175.
These folks in Vegas know a thing.
Pretty smart.
About that. Yeah.
The Charger game, they're plus 164.
Okay.
The second time against the Bengals at home, even though they're plus 1.5, it's plus 100 On the money line, in Chicago, it's plus 114. Against the Bills, it's plus 164.
So I guess this makes up for a lot of the difference between favorites and over-under win total.
Yeah.
There's a massive gap there.
Yeah.
A 2.5 game gap.
In Baltimore, they're plus 300.
Okay.
Miami, they're minus 130. Detroit, they're plus 200. Cleveland, they're minus 130. And the final game of the season in Pittsburgh, plus 170 against Baltimore.
Okay. So, there will be ones that hit big for you if you just money lined it. But some of your wins that you think are wins don't pay off as much as you think
still get
either.
your money back, and you're still
yeah.
something.
But no, that's interesting.
So I saw that with the.
I always find just betting on the NFL interesting when you can bet on Week 15 and you have no clue. Not that even the sharpest of bettors knows who's going to be playing quarterback that week.
Right.
And I'm sure Vegas just wants the whole world to bet 50% on one side and 50% on the other.
The Bills' schedule, as it stands, they get Baltimore at home.
That's their opener.
That's their opener.
Well, that's when they're tough. They should be favored in that one.
They get Kansas City at home. They get
go to Houston then.
Tampa Bay at home. They do go to Houston, but they're 3.5-point favorites there.
That's kind of weird that you'd have three. No, you have four. Right. Yeah, you have 4 games against fellow number 1 seeds, and 3 of them are in their place.
Yeah.
You would think that would go be 2-2 every year.
They get Cincinnati at home. They also get Philadelphia at home.
Wow, all their tough games are at home then.
Yeah, you could make the argument.
I get what they're saying.
You could make the argument that their toughest road game this year
maybe Pittsburgh
might be the Steelers. It's either the Steelers or Houston, one of those two, and they play them back to back.
Interesting.
They play Tampa Bay at Houston at Steelers. Then they have Cincinnati at home again the following week.
Wow, that's odd and very fortunate. I mean, all their hard games are in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm just like their only other. They're at the Jets, at the Falcons, at the Panthers, at Houston, at Pittsburgh, at Cleveland.
They could be 7-1 on the road. They're not going to win all those home games against Ravens, Chiefs, Eagles, Bucks, Bengals, all the top teams. But I like their chance. They should be favored in all of them in May.
Yeah,
but those road games that has to be the easiest road schedule in the league.
Their smallest margin that they're favored by is 1.5. They're favored by 1.5 over Baltimore, and 1.5 against Philadelphia.
From what I remember, they don't have a lot of rest disadvantages or anything either. Like there's not a lot of 3 games in 10 days and that kind of nonsense either.
Yeah.
Short weeks, that type of thing.
They get the Saints at home.
What's the spread in that game?
12.5.
Okay, it might be 20 by the time that comes around. Especially if it's late in the year.
I'm just looking at this schedule. I mean,
it's pretty nice.
Sets up pretty well for them.
Especially they have a first place schedule, so they have tough teams.
But the question is you have to ask yourself, do you think they go 8-0 on the road? History would tell us no.
I definitely don't think so, but I think they win 6, maybe 7.
So, and again, I'm looking at their toughest road games.
It's like in Atlanta, from what I remember, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Games that they should be favored in May in. Wow.
They go to Cleveland.
I bet the Giants is like the polar opposite. And they also have all kinds of rest disadvantages too. Their schedule's awful.
Yeah. So just a strange little quirk in the scheduling there.
Sharp's the best at it, Warren, but you start we focus on the Steelers schedule. So I don't know those loopholes in the Bills schedule, of course. But when they start coming out, and I'm not besmudging the schedule makers. It'd be an unbelievably difficult job, especially they're like, well, Springsteen's in your building on this Sunday.
Yeah, you got monster trucks that weekend.
Right. The baseball playoffs or whatever. But there are the schedules are not even close to being equal. Any year you look at it, when you start to look at rest, where you play your tough teams, where you play your easy teams. And frankly, the Steelers, unfortunately, almost all their tough games, they're at a rest disadvantage this year. In Detroit, in Cincinnati, they're the teams with the highest win totals. It doesn't set up well for the Steelers in terms of rest.
Yeah, but it's not. Again, it's not like it was last year.
Oh no,
Last
year's an anomaly.
One day doesn't bother me.
One day doesn't bother
because you can adjust to that.
I don't
in
love
the Cincinnati game. They're both playing Thursday night, so it's a wash. And Cincinnati's on the road before that game.
I mean, I don't love coming back from a Monday night.
No, that's terrible.
That's terrible. But no, your point about last year, is one of the harder ones you're going to see. I mean, that's a real outlier.
Yeah.
Welcome
to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, Matt, this is going to be the last show we do.
Having a historic show.
Before OTAs.
Right. It's the end of the phase 1 of the YouTube era, too. There's a lot going on here.
We've been YouTubing pretty consistently here now for the last, 6 to 8 months, Tyler?
Yeah.
Since August, yeah.
Next time we get together with Tyler, he's going to be a daddy. We got all kinds of stuff going on, right?
Not as much as him.
right. Just wait, dude.
But yeah, so today is our final session on YouTube. You can still check those shows out. They're all backlogged there, and you can.
Oh yeah, they all hold up. Yeah. But I'm psyched to get down to OTAs next week too, and
absolutely
not be in studio, be outside, see some people running around.
So with that in mind, Matt, I want to talk about what we want to see over the next 3 weeks.
Okay. My big thing right off the bat is just, and that's preliminary scouting. I mean, I know who these guys are, but body typing. I mean, that's just for me. What does DK Metcalf look like? I mean, I bet it's impressive. What does Black look like? What does Harmon look like? I mean, some of these dudes that are, I've seen their height, weight, speed, and all that stuff, and running around the combine. So that's kind of the first thing. They look the part, and I don't know next, to be honest. I mean, I would love. We talked about the receiver yesterday. That someone that's not a draft pick to make a few plays. Just be on the tip of people's tongues. Or unsolicited names come up. That's a big training camp thing. Jaylen Warren's the best example I could remember. 2 or 3 days into training camp, everyone's like, man, Jaylen Warren's pretty good. Undrafted free agent. And that stuff starts to happen now, too.
Yeah. It's tough for the receivers in that regard because they're not getting hit.
Right.
They know they're not getting hit. I mean, I've seen guys over the years, and there have been guys who have been I used to refer to Jaheen Arnold as, Mr.
He's perfect for that.
Mr. June.
Yeah.
Because he would catch everything.
Yeah.
And then...
And it's 7-on-7. It's routes versus air. And, right. Yeah. And people might not remember Arnold, but he was...
really fast and...
little. Thin. Right. Perfect for this time of year.
With that said, I want to see Roman Wilson on the field.
Ooh, good one. Yeah.
And I want to see him take some steps.
Maybe even running with the ones or shortly behind or, really looking like kind of a veteran and not like one of the rookies out there, not knowing where to be and things like that.
If Roman Wilson in his second year, he didn't do anything last year, but if he can have a Calvin Austin Calvin Austin did last year.
Yeah, we're not asking him to be Malik Neighbors.
No, I'm not asking for him to go out and get 70 catches or anything like that. But if he can get 36 or 500 yards, that goes a long way.
Consistent contributor. Yeah, I think he's I'm sure we'll do this between now and camp too. Who are some of the wild cards on this team? Who are some of the X factors? He comes to mind immediately. If he has a nice year, there's a lot of ramifications, especially if they don't add another receiver, which I don't think is going to be the issue. But, man, all of a sudden, it's like him and Austin are both really capable threes. All right, I see something here. And maybe even the year after that, he's running with the ones. I don't know,
Yeah, you want to see those guys take – we've seen Calvin Austin take those steps.
Absolutely.
To the point now where I'm like, okay.
And he had an injury or two early on that slowed progress,
But he had over 500 receiving yards last year.
Yeah.
He was
he had a nice year.
Not a throwaway player at all.
No, he had a nice year.
And was good in the return game and did everything that you want him to do. Now can Roman Wilson, who was actually drafted earlier than Calvin Austin.
Right, he's a third-round pick.
He's a third-round pick. Right. Austin was a fourth-round pick.
In a deep receiver draft.
A late fourth-round pick.
Yeah. Wilson might have won the end of second in this draft.
Yeah.
I mean, way earlier.
We talked about it, his, at the combine, where his grade from last year would have gotten him into this year's draft, according to Lance Zierlein's grade. I mean, he was a 6.3. There were guys, I mean.
That may be, like, if you don't make the Metcalf trade, that's about where he might have gone.
Yeah.
In the middle of the second round.
And that 6.3 by Lance Zierlein's grading system will eventually be a plus starter.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably like a Knoll or someone like that from this class. Right. And I think that's a logical expectation for him. Everyone just thinks he's out of sight, out of mind. He's a bust.
Oh, he's a bust. He didn't do anything. They're mad at him.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's one of the guys. I think they really want to see him on the football field.
Yeah.
And then make their judgments about what they need at the wide receiver position.
Because I do think he's mostly slot. But we've had a lot of talk about in-breaking routes, throwing between the numbers. Arthur Smith, that's more his style than we saw, and his quarterbacks were part of that issue. You have to adapt to the ingredients you get as a new coordinator. Wilson, if you go back to his Michigan tape, a lot of first downs going over the middle, in breakers, deep in cuts, things like that. A lot for first downs, off and out of the slot. I'm sure that's what they envisioned when they took him. Yeah,
I mean, he was a tough guy, and he's not tiny. He's 5'11", 185.
He's not Gene Arnold.
Yeah, he's not Gene Arnold.
Right.
Essentially, he's the same size. And I'm not saying he's Antonio Brown, but he's the same size as Antonio Brown.
Right.
Give or take.
Who could go inside, outside, make plays all over the field. He's not too small to ride the ride.
Right. He's not one of these 5'9", 175-pound guys.
And he'll block, and he was a Harbaugh national champion, third-round pick contributor.
Oh, by the way, at the Combine, he ran a 4.39.
It was really good to Senior Bowl,
1.52, 10-yard split. I mean, he's fast.
Let's not forget about him. Right?
This guy is a good football player. He just couldn't get on the field last year because of the injuries. And people, why could he came back? Why didn't they play him? He missed all of training camp.
Yeah.
All of it. I mean,
it wasn't a body of work to even jump off of.
No.
Right.
There was nothing, and there's nothing worse for coaches. There's nothing worse for quarterbacks than to have a wide receiver out there who might not know what he's doing.
Not sort of know what
especially
he's doing.
In important games.
Yeah,
you're talking about him coming back down the stretch and he's like, well, just put him out there and see what he can do. These are important games. I don't want to see what can
they were against top competition or a playoff game or I
don't want to see if he knows what he's doing. I want him to know what he's doing, and I want to be able to trust that he knows where he's supposed to be at, because if he's not, if he runs that what's supposed to be a 12-yard out and he runs it 8 yards out and it turns into an interception.
Yeah, folks, January and December in the NFL aren't for testing. Throw them out there and see how it works.
Unless you're completely out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or then it's perfect time.
Right.
Or all your linebackers are hurt and you got to call, somebody off the couch like they did 2 years ago. That's all you got. It's not a great time to, okay, I think he knows what he's doing, but we're not sure. Nah, let's put Scotty Miller out there,
Yeah.
And to your point, a lot of it's just the fine-tuned stuff, like a lot of these route adjustments on the fly. You got to read coverage as you're running your route. Or if you round it off just a little and the ball needs to be here, but it's here, and that's an interception. It's just it's a very precise position.
Roman Wilson's last year at Michigan. Now, mind you, they didn't throw the football very much.
No. I mean, that was a knock on McCarthy.
That was the thing with McCarthy. But 48 catches, 789 yards. That's 16.4 yards per catch. 12 touchdowns.
It was him and Loveland were the whole passing.
He was the co-offensive skill player of the year for the national champions.
Yeah. Great, yeah. I mean, and there's no reason – I know people probably do have a different opinion of him now than the day he was drafted.
Yes.
It has been over a year.
It.
Of course.
He's been out of sight, out of mind. Not really out of mind because everybody's talked about him. When's he going to get out there?
Yeah. But I don't think you should have a very much different opinion at all. All you guys that were super excited to watch him on Saturdays – Wolverines, watching them in the playoffs. Steelers got him in the third round. All right. I don't think he's any different,
No. In fact, he actually is going into this in a better situation than he did a year ago.
Well, at least
he's been there. He's been through all the meetings. He knows the offense.
He should have no mental errors.
Shouldn't.
Yeah. Right. That would be inexcusable. Right.
So that's one that I'm certainly going to be watching.
It's a good one.
I don't know if T.J. Watt shows up for these, for example.
I don't even care.
I don't care either.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't bother me, and well, he's got to be there. These are, first of all, these are voluntary sessions.
They're not getting fined. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like he's sitting around eating chips and bonbons,
Right. You trust the player to be in shape and ready to go.
I think it's pretty safe that he'll be fine in that.
Troy
regard.
Polamalu never came to these things.
Right.
The 1 year he did, it was noteworthy because they were breaking in a new safety next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that,
Troy, his own thing, right?
Troy, you're going to go off and climb mountains and do all that
enjoy
stuff.
Your time, right.
Ben Roethlisberger didn't show up at these all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of sporadic. It's not a big deal if these guys don't show up. Now, it will be reported as being a big deal.
Right.
But if you remember last year, Cam Hayward skipped he had stuff going on and missed the first week of OTAs.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, didn't seem to affect his season at all.
Times have changed, and these are all magnified too much. I mean, and we're going to be down there, and we're going to be guilty of it too.
Right.
I mean, of course. But, I mean, I remember you telling stories. Cowher would kind of be in and out. He's the head coach of the team.
Those first, I can remember when they first started doing these things, and they had the upper deck over top of the field that overlooks. It's a 2-story building, so they get the deck up there that overlooks the fields. And Cowher would, if he was there, would stand up on the deck,
observe
and observe like he was a college coach, like a college coach up on top of the.
Yeah.
And that's
like Bear Bryant up on the the podium things, right?
Yeah,
right.
And just overseeing practice, watching. Okay,
they do record all this. You can watch the tape. Right? Yeah.
But you're trusting your coaches. That's what this is for. Your coaches are the ones doing the real work on the field.
That's a great way to put it. This is more of a position coach thing than a coordinator, play caller.
Right.
Right. Can I get this guy to go through individuals well enough that I don't have to make him do it again at camp?
Yeah. The idea of this is to get them ready. You've got your 9 practices here.
Yeah.
Including minicamp, to get these guys ready so when you go to training camp, you can run fast practices.
You can take the training wheels off.
Yeah. Everything. Okay, now we're going. This is the real stuff now.
Right. Because this is for real. You're trying to make the team. I mean, this is step 1. And guys will do everything they can to impress. And, of course, they'll work hard. But it's more just like, can you operate practice at the tempo we want? That's a big thing, too. Like, we're not 100% knocking everyone's head off every time. And we're also not just walking every time. There's a tempo to it. This is how the Pittsburgh Steelers practice. And when we break off into individuals, I don't have to teach you the sled drill again. That kind of stuff.
I'm not stopping the drill to get you to do it the right way.
I've been always explaining this is kindergarten.
Yeah.
It's the ABCs.
Which is why they first hold the rookie mini camp to give those young guys their first taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've had a couple of weeks off. Do they retain that?
Yeah, right. And to your point, T.J. Watt doesn't need the training.
He doesn't. No. No, he can pretty much hit the ground running.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. Right.
We'll see what happens with the quarterback position.
Sure.
And the thing
I'm excited to see Howard throw the ball live, though.
The thing with Watt, to me, is you still have a couple of young pass rushers on this team. If he's not there, that means they get more reps.
And it's more for everybody else, too. I mean, and there's a trickle-down effect, too. Like, if Cam is here, which I assume he will be, he doesn't – I mean, they're going to have the rookies do it more than him.
Right.
I mean, even Benton and those guys, Liao. I mean, guys that were injured last year, too. I mean, Lee. I mean, those guys are going to be ones getting the reps here much more than Cameron Hayward.
Right. Right. But we'll see what happens at the quarterback position.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll get news. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we get news before next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get news on a certain quarterback signing, I would still expect it comes in the next 2 weeks. I would expect that he who shall not be named will be here for the mandatory minicamp.
Be a good – deadline's a terrible word, but that'd be a good over-under, timeline. Fine. And then 2 months from now, we won't be talking about it again.
Right.
Yeah. He's the guy.
Because right now he's missed nothing.
Nothing.
Right, everybody's been panicking about this all offseason.
He wouldn't have been down
We've
there for the draft.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I've been guilty of that at times as well. But he's still missed nothing to this point.
He can lift weights elsewhere. He can train elsewhere.
These are guys, if you've been in the league 5 or more years, even 3 or more years. You know what you need to do to get your body ready.
Let alone if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure he has personal trainers like crazy and nutritionists and all those things too. They're maybe even better. I mean,
Yeah,
he's going to use them anyway.
He's not sitting around eating Cheetos. And,
No,
you know,
right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think that's a good barometer, though. The next 2 weeks.
and I don't even care, honestly, if he misses if he misses these 2 weeks of OTAs. They get a young quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, really 2 between Skylar Thompson and Howard that need reps.
So
Mason Rudolph needs reps in this offense.
I don't have the Steelers playbook. I don't know their verbiage.
Yeah.
I never will. I never should. Now, I'm sure there's people like, well, doesn't he need to learn the offense? Yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff he needs to learn.
When he gets here, he's going to take every rep.
But I urge everyone to look at Arthur Smith's history. Arthur Smith was a position coach with the Titans, and LaFleur was their offensive coordinator.
Right.
And did a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Gets the head coaching job with the Packers.
Actually wanted to hire Arthur Smith and
Wanted
take him
to bring
with
him with him.
Yeah.
You know, I really want this guy. Vrabel's like, you're not
No.
taking that guy. Right.
Yeah.
And he promotes him to offensive coordinator, which is a massive jump. And where I'm going with this is we can do more of the Arthur Smith history, but Rodgers, coincidentally or not, was in Green Bay when LaFleur got hired
Right.
with the system that is being in place here. And him and LaFleur worked some things out that first year. They drafted Jordan Love, and Rodgers then really, really bought into the LaFleur system and won MVPs. And he knows the system, guy. I mean, he knows how it works.
Not,
right.
You know, this is not him learning Chinese.
When Smith got here last year, everybody had to learn the system.
Right.
That was new. Rodgers has done this.
Yeah.
It's the same verbiage, the same language. Maybe there's a different dialect now, but it's the same language. It's French, it's German, whatever.
Yeah, it's just speaking one version of French versus
and he knows it
what they
extremely well.
Yeah, or
right.
Spanish and what they speak in the Catalan or I can't think of it. What they speak in Barcelona is not the same as what they speak in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all Spanish.
It's all Spanish. Right, right. And he knows it well and excelled in it. And that's what they ran with the Jets, too.
Right.
It was a Packers group.
Yeah. Matt, the next time we get together,
Tuesday.
Will be Tuesday for OTAs. We'll actually get to see some on-the-field football work. And
3-hour show, though.
3-hour show, 10 to 1 each of those days.
All 3 days in a row.
I just want to pull back the curtains on this a little bit. We are not allowed to talk about what's going on the football field. Now, it may give us some ideas of things we want to talk about.
Sure. And we can, future shows, things we've seen.
Once we get the training camp and things of that nature, we can talk about it all. But we'll also get some player interviews at the OTA sessions. We
usually works out. We get one per day. Once in a while, it gets hairy, but usually they pull them right off practice field, sit down with us. And we Patrick Peterson. That was a really memorable one.
Yeah,
he was really well spoken.
We had Cole Holcomb.
Yeah,
his
a
first
lot of times
year,
it's a new guy.
Yeah,
you know.
We will be joined for those sessions by Wes Euler.
Yep.
Tom Offerman will be sitting in on Wednesday for Wes.
Okay.
But there'll be a 3-man show, so we'll get to have a little fun with Wes, who, quite frankly, is pretty loud.
He's pretty loud. Yeah, they'll hear him all the way across the field.
He'll be,
absolutely.
He's
better outdoors. We'll be outdoors. We'll be right.
It'll
It'll
kill the noise a little bit. It'll bring the energy level of him down.
Oh, yeah, we'll pull in a substitute teacher for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll have some fun. Maybe, as we mentioned when we had Bob Labriola on the other day, maybe we'll have Bob sit down with us. Maybe we
might be able to grab
a guest or two as they're milling about, pretending to watch practice.
Lab sounded like he was semi-interested for his regular Wednesday hit. Maybe join us, you know?
Yeah.
But it'll be a good time. It'll be good to be outside. I remember the one year we were freezing. And my buddy Ox was still next door from Pitt. I'm like, do you have a sweatshirt or something?
I still have the sweatshirt. I wear it all the time.
Right. I was right next to this one I grabbed. I'm like, should I grab that one or that one? And just happened to grab that.
Might be the only Pitt sweatshirt I own.
Yeah, I have a ton.
I might have another one.
Yeah. But
that's the only one I wear all the time. It fit me well.
It was perfect. Right. He took care of us and said, keep it. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Right. But it's nice down there. I'm excited to see. We are allowed to say, like I mentioned, body types. I'm going to say things like that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be like,
we can't describe
describe
what's going on in the field. So if you're looking for that, we can't give you that, but we can give you the player interviews. We can talk about kind of what we're seeing there, and it's the only place in the world where you can get this
that is the only
information.
Place, right. like I think we're allowed, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll even ask. Like practice is over. Boy, Howard threw the ball well today. I think you're allowed to do those type of things, right? I think
we just can't describe what he did,
right,
or anything like that. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we can still talk about who we're impressed with and those kind of things. And
I remember the one time was unfortunate, but there was an injury right in front of us.
And when I say right in front of us, like within 10 yards of us,
right? Like it happened on the sideline we were from, and it's like you know, you had to kind of react to some degree, but it couldn't really say what we wanted to say, you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did react a little bit more. I mean, I was like, oh, that didn't look good at all.
Didn't look great, right.
And then we talked about said injury, and
it wasn't good.
We got yelled at. But
and felt shame.
We felt shame. We went to the penalty box. And
but no, I can't wait.
2 minutes later, we come out. Everything was fine.
Yeah, all good.
All good.
So the following week, are we back to in here?
The next 2 weeks are the OTA sessions.
2 weeks, okay.
And then the third week is the mandatory minicamp.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the next 3 weeks will all be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought so. I wasn't 100% sure.
So if you're looking for the show, that's what's going on here. And then again, we will be going to a 3-day-a-week schedule: Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
until late July,
basically until training camp starts, and we have some vacation between the two of us that we're going to take in July. I think everything's in July, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a day here and there. I'm taking my son to college, and that is early July, and a couple things, but only one extended. But that's right before camp for me. Yeah.
So we'll make it work.
We'll be around a lot.
We'll still be around. We'll still be giving you all your good Steeler information and talking about stuff that's going on and stuff around the league. That's what we do. But that's going to do it for today's show. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site running the Justin Miller hotline and the soundboard, and for Tyler Vittmeyer, our last day here with Tyler Vittmeyer for the next about 2 months. When he comes back,
blast, dude.
He's going to have a much different look to him.
Yeah, a little less sleep.
He's going to look a lot more sleepy. But his wife will soon be having their first child. We congratulate them on that.
Congrats in advance, yeah.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.